Unless you've been living under a rock for the past few days, you'll know that the world has roundly condemned Israel for accidentally hitting some aid workers in Gaza. And the first thing I want to ask all of you, if you're watching this with an honest and open eye, is, do you recall this? This was in August 2022. A US drone strike killed an aid worker in Afghanistan. Many of his family and colleagues are still stranded there. Almost a year later, the US government is still working to rectify its last act in Afghanistan, an erroneous airstrike that killed 10 civilians, including 7 children. I can hardly recall the world focusing on this, hearing about this. And yet it seems that when Israel makes a mistake in a war that they didn't start, that occurred in the aftermath of the worst massacre seen against the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and they make a mistake, and the world treats them like they're the most evil, intentional murderers. The whole thing is sick. Of course, innocent life lost is a tragedy. But it is so important to zoom out a bit and appreciate that the hatred, the furor, the anger against Israel is not objective. We know that because, of course, days after October 7th, when there was a strike against a Gaza hospital, the world went crazy against Israel. And then we found out that actually it wasn't the hospital itself, it was actually the car park. And it wasn't the Israelis that launched the strike, it was actually an accidental hit by Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Silence from the world. It's so important that we appreciate that the double standards are real and we not get sidetracked by this nonsense. The anti-Israel campaigners went out in droves on October 8th before Israel lifted a finger, protesting against Israel and celebrating what happened on October 7th. But what I want to do is to read to you an article by Brendan O'Neill, where he talks about these absurd double standards. In fact, I think Netanyahu referred to it as triple standards. You've got one rule for Western democracies, another rule for dictators, where often the world is turning a blind eye to them, and then another rule on top of that for Israel. But have a listen to the words of Brendan O'Neill, the excellent journalist and writer. Here's what he says in The Spectator magazine. David Cameron, who is the UK's Foreign Secretary, has got some front. The Foreign Secretary is haranguing Israel over its tragic unintentional killing of 7 aid workers in Gaza. Yet he oversaw a war in which such friendly fire horrors were commonplace. In fact, more than 7 people were slain in accidental bombings under Cameron's watch. It was the Libya intervention of 2011. In that NATO-led excursion in which Cameron, then Prime Minister, was an enthusiastic partner, numerous Libyans died as a result of misaimed bombs. Things got so bad that the West allies took to painting the roofs of their vehicles bright pink in an effort to avoid NATO's missiles. In one awful incident, 13 people were slaughtered by our friendly fire. Their number included not only anti-Gaddafi rebels but also ambulance workers. It was in the wake of this calamity that the rebels got out the pink paint. How to avoid friendly fire? Libya rebels try pink, said a headline at NBC News. Yet now Cameron is on his high horse over Israel's bombing of trucks carrying volunteers from the World Central Kitchen. He's demanding a full, transparent explanation of what happened. He also summoned Israel's ambassador, by the way. Fine. 3 of the dead were British nationals, so it makes perfect sense Britain wants answers. But you would think a former PM who was involved in wars in which other accidents happened would understand that friendly fire, sadly, is all but inevitable in bloody conflict. This is not to downplay the horror of what happened in Gaza on Monday. That civilians were killed while trying to help people, while trying to deliver food, is horrendous. It is fitting that the Israeli President Isaac Herzog has apologised for the bombings, that the Israeli government has promised to get to the bottom of what happened. And yet there is something off, even something nauseating, in all the Western finger-wagging. It isn't only Cameron. US President Joe Biden has also weighed in, saying he's outraged by the killing of aid workers. You can't help but wonder whether he directed similar outrage at his own nation's military when 37 Afghanis at a wedding party, mostly women and children, were killed by mistake in a US airstrike. Stop killing Afghan civilians, the then president of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, said to the newly elected American president, Barack Obama. And who was Obama's vice president? Biden, of course. You would think a man whose own military has killed huge numbers of people in error would understand that these things happen, even if every decent person would rather they didn't. Vast numbers of civilians have been killed by accident by the US in recent years. At another wedding party in 2004, this time in Iraq, 11 women and 14 children were killed by American fire. Was there a full, transparent explanation for that calamity? Terrible accidents happen in war. That's because war is hell. If you hate the war in Gaza, as you should, then you should aim your ire at Hamas, the virulently anti-Semitic terror group that started this war with its pogrom against the people of southern Israel on 7th of October. By the way, it's also recently been revealed they had plans to go to Tel Aviv, which of course didn't happen. The 7 decent souls of World Central Kitchen would be alive today had Hamas not taken the decision to visit its racist barbarism on the Jewish state. For once war starts, error becomes unavoidable. There are few wars in history, none perhaps, in which innocents have not perished in the violent maelstrom. What is striking about Israel's mistake is that it is not being treated as friendly fire at all. Instead, it is held up as proof of Israel's evil, evidence of its malevolence. Across social media, the cries go up. Israel did this on purpose. It seems Israel is the only state not allowed to make mistakes. Where us decent Westerners kill friends in error, Israel does it intentionally, with malice in its heart. The double standards are staggering. It is hypocritical and ridiculous for the citizens of nations that have accidentally killed far more people than Israel to now lecture Israel about its wayward bombs. It smacks of bigotry too. We make mistakes, they commit crimes. We err, they murder. We should be forgiven, they should not. There's an ironically neo-colonialist bent to this fury with Israel. For it bigs up the West, despite its history of war crimes, as a suitable judge and jury of that uppity little state over there. Indeed, it strikes me that something larger is at work here. It seems that some in the West are seeking to launder their reputations through attacking Israel. From Cameron to Biden, powerful men who have been involved in wars far more horrific and far less justified than Israel's war on Hamas are now pontificating against the Jewish state. The historically illiterate left is lapping up the lectures Cameron, Biden, and others are making to Israel. This isn't anti-imperialism, it's the attempted rehabilitation of Western prestige on the back of bashing Israel. Shame on everyone involved. Wow, that's incredibly powerful. And you know what? Brendan is absolutely right. And this is why Israel should just do whatever they need to do and realize that even if they dance to the highest standards of Western morality, they're still going to be roundly condemned, because this isn't about looking at it objectively. It's to do with the world, a relationship with the Jewish people and their destiny. So Israel, we beg of you, just stop focusing on world opinion. The Jewish people have always gone it alone. And that's because we are the teacher in the global classroom of morality, not the students. You only have one teacher in a world full of students. That's our job. That's our mission. And so we've got to understand that we shouldn't be taking lectures from the world. We are here to set an example and be a light to the world. Follow the Jewish standards of morality in war, not the world's. I'm Ollie Annisfeld, and you're watching JTV.
Hi everybody, thanks for watching. If you want to watch another one, click here. If you want to subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest JTV content, click here. And if you're feeling really keen, you can click the join button down below underneath this video, where you can get perks including early access to new videos and private live discussions with me, where we can talk about JTV content and strategy moving forward, and I'll get to hear from you. Thanks again for watching.